Just wait for everybody to connect. And today, we're going to be talking about blocks to financial abundance. It's going to be really, really cool. So I'll just wait for people to join. I can see what's going on here. And welcome. As you're joining this, I'd just like to welcome you to the TikTok live and to the Facebook live on energetic blocks. In this episode, it's going to be financial abundance. So it's going to be this is going to be a really cool one. I'm doing a 3-part live stream series on blocks, energetic blocks. So this is the first one, which is going to be on financial abundance. And the next one's going to be on, I believe it's going to be on relationships, and the third one's going to be on health. So it's going to be really, really cool. You're going to really enjoy this live session today, okay? Hi, Celestia, how you doing? So yeah, if it's all loud and clear, let me know in the comments if you can hear me and you can see me okay before I get going. And it's going to be a really cool session. So good morning to you all from Western Australia, sunny Western Australia here this morning. Where are you all joining me from this morning? Hiya, Lily. How you doing, darling? All loud and clear. Awesome. Can you all hear me okay? Is it okay? Whereabouts are you joining from? Where in the world? So I'm here in Australia. So it's all awesome. But thanks so much for joining me here this morning. So I just want. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. So today's session, okay, is going to be on energetic blocks to financial abundance. So this is all about financial abundance and how you can fix that energetically, okay? And I'm going to be sharing some insights with you today that you probably hadn't considered. And when I explain this to you, the penny's going to drop and you're going to go, wow, this is something, because a lot of us feel stuck. And a lot of us feel blocked in life. And most of the time, it's difficult to pinpoint the root cause of why we're stuck, why we're blocked, okay? But when we realize that energy and frequency is as tangible as this bottle of water, it's as tangible as the laptop, the phone, the lights, it's as tangible as anything your 5 senses can experience in this third-dimensional reality. And once we understand that the issues that we have are energetic and they can be fixed super, super easily, okay, then we can really begin to unlock a life that we deserve here on Earth in this lifetime. How amazing is that? So I'll just quickly start by sharing with you how usually my one-to-one sessions with clients work, okay? And it's really relevant to what I'm going to be talking about today. Just want to give you some context how deep these kind of shifts and stuff can be. So typically people will come to me when they're stuck. They're stuck energetically. They're blocked. Typically, we're talking today about financial abundance. So it could be around finances, around their business and all this kind of stuff. And what I will do, okay, it's the equivalent of energetic surgery is what I perform on people that I work with. And it's always done with consent. And what I will do is we'll start off by shaking up or gently rocking somebody's energetic field. And if there's any sediment in there, which is stuff which is coming up to be cleared, it floats to the surface and we can press into this and we can work on it. And what then happens is we identify areas in the Akashic Records which perhaps have some karma attached to them. So there can be, for everybody watching this, karma can be affecting your finances, like for sure. And once we've identified areas of karma that need to be addressed or looked at, we can read this within the Akashic Records, or I go in with consent. So I never impose myself energetically on anybody. It's always with consent and with permission. And I access somebody's Akashic Records, which is a ledger, it's a record of everything their soul has been through, with consent and permission. And then from the Akashic Records, I go up and I find karma that's attached to a particular record of what they've been through or their ancestors have been through, neutralize the karma, and then come down and work on their personal energy field. So their personal energy field will contain frequency, perhaps a distortion around finances, and this causes clients to be blocked. Once we've fixed and done the energetic work, okay, the client's life then begins to change. So the problems they have then melt away. Issues they have around money then melt away. Income increases and all of this kind of stuff. So again, today's session is the first of a 3-part live stream, which I'm going to do. This is on financial abundance. So the context of this entire session is going to be around finances and money. The next one's going to be around relationships, and the third one's going to be around health, because energy affects all of us in many different ways. But they're the 3 most popular areas that people come to me with issues. Okay, so I'm going to focus on those 3, share a load of value with you, and hopefully get you to see that, you know, energy is the key to sorting your life out. But today's session is about finances. Okay, so I'm going to share some stuff with you today, which perhaps you didn't know, perhaps you didn't fully understand before this session, but it's kind of, it's going to make you see things differently, and you'll begin to then understand the significance of stuff that we've gone through and how it affects our income and how it affects our earning ability and our perceptions around money and all of this kind of stuff, okay? It's going to be a really valuable live stream for you, and it's going to be great information, and I'm happy to share it with you, okay? So I want to begin by talking about a collective consciousness of a country. Some of you might be aware, some of you won't be, but for the benefit of everybody that's joining us here today and watching this, each country has its own collective consciousness. Each country, I'll say that again, has its own collective consciousness. So perhaps you're tuning in from America, okay? America has its own collective consciousness. If you're tuning in from Africa, countries within Africa, because Africa is the continent, but countries within Africa have their own collective consciousness. UK has its own collective consciousness. Wales, where I'm from, South Wales in the UK, has its own collective consciousness. Australia has its own collective consciousness. Germany, Poland, each country has its own collective consciousness. And if you have, say, emigrated from perhaps a country which is economically poorer than the one that you're living in right now, or perhaps your ancestors made the journey, they were living in poverty, etc., and came across, you, without even realizing it, can still be plugged into the collective consciousness of a country which isn't serving you. And I'm going to explain into this. And when I actually explain to you how this can affect your life and your perceptions around money, it's going to kind of, it's going to open your eyes, really, as to how this can affect you. And it's going to really make you understand how in reach a life that you deserve is. It's just you need to be plugged into one of the aspects is you need to be plugged into the correct collective consciousness of a country which is going to serve you. So I'll give you, again, when I work with clients, everything's confidential, so I'm not going to give you any information about any clients that I've worked with. You know, that's something which I wouldn't share, but I'll share my story with you, okay? I'm happy to do that. So I'll give you my example and tangibly how this affected me and the energy work I had to do on myself in order to be plugged into a collective consciousness which served me and where I was living, okay? So as I've mentioned, I'm from South Wales, okay, in the UK. Now, for those watching this around the world, I know we have an audience literally globally from, you know, sort of South America to Canada to the USA to Europe to Asia or whatever. If I was to say to you I'm from the United Kingdom, you would think automatically, oh, that's a prosperous, developed country. But what you'll be thinking of is London, probably. And as an economic financial centre, London is very, very wealthy. It's very, very prosperous. Capital cities within the UK. So Edinburgh, for instance, Cardiff is quite popular, quite prosperous in South Wales. Different cities within regions. So Manchester, Birmingham, all of these different places. You've got pockets of wealth. You've got pockets of country which are sort of prosperous and people are doing very well for themselves. But you've got areas of the UK which are economically deprived. So if you head up, you've got this thing called the North-South divide. So if you head up to places like Hull and the northeast of England, very, very deprived up there. South Wales, which is where I grew up, This is the collective consciousness that I was exposed to in Wales. I grew up in a working class, impoverished area of the UK. Now, you wouldn't think, if I just said to you, describe to me the UK economically, it's, oh yeah, it's a prosperous place. And you probably, like I say, you just think of London and Westminster and all of this stuff. And that's a pocket within the UK. But there is a country, as part of the United Kingdom that I'm from, called Wales. South Wales especially was big on mining, was quite prosperous back, 1970s, 1980s with coal mines. And then what happened? The coal mines were all closed by the government. There was big strikes and stuff. And ever since then, economically, it's been really, really poor. Everybody's working class down there. There's not much, when I was growing up, not much opportunity down there. Some of the towns, I won't name them, but some of the towns you go around there, loads of crime, people living on the poverty line, everybody on welfare benefits, nobody working. It's that, there can be violence and things like this. So it's not a nice place, okay? And this is within the United Kingdom. And this is why I'm happy to share this with you, because it's maybe opening your eyes a little bit. So I was plugged into, because I grew up in South Wales in the UK, I was plugged into the collective consciousness, okay? My consciousness was plugged into the collective consciousness of South Wales. And what I then did, okay, is I then emigrated to Australia. Now, Australia is very different, okay? Australia is a prosperous country. Salaries over in Australia are very high in comparison to South Wales, where I'm from. So there were, I used to joke and say, South Wales back in the UK is the land of the low paid, because nobody ever, if you're on a salary, even with a decent job, you're not making that much money in comparison with your counterparts, perhaps in London or Manchester, doing the same job. You just earn a lot more money. That's just how economically the system is set up in the UK. So I come from the land of the low paid, right? That's where I come from. And that's where I grew up. Not much opportunity. Education was poor, if I'm honest. I had a happy childhood. I was happy, but there wasn't many opportunities. The school I went to was deprived, really. Out of everybody that I knew growing up, people, there was only a handful of people, including myself, I knew that qualified with any qualifications. Everybody just failed all their exams. That's just how it was. No opportunity, really. It was just deprived. And I came to Australia. Now, Australia is a prosperous country. People are doing very, very well for themselves. You've got tradespeople. If you work hard in Australia, you can really make a good life for yourself. Ordinary people living in suburbs, doing ordinary jobs. So, they're carpenters or builders, or perhaps they're office workers. They've all got boats and jet skis, and that's just a normal thing here. It's not uncommon to drive down a suburban street and see somebody with a boat on the drive, or a jet ski, or 2 4x4s or whatever. It's just how it is over here. Economically, it's a lot more prosperous. The problem I had is because my consciousness was plugged into where I'd grown up. Okay, so how did this manifest itself in my life? And I want to share this with you, because this will probably begin to resonate with some of you watching this, right? Okay, so what did I always do? Every time I went into a shop, okay, I'd automatically be looking for the cheapest item in the shop. Doesn't matter, like, I'll give you an example. If I went in and I was looking to get some fruit from the supermarket, and perhaps I really fancied some raspberries, and I went into Coles or Woolworths or one of the stores over here, you've got different supermarkets and stuff wherever you're living. But let's say I wanted some raspberries, and I'd look, and the price on the raspberries, groceries are quite expensive in Australia, but by comparison to different countries, you pay a lot for food over here. So let's say raspberries were $6 for a punnet, right? Which is not uncommon. $6 for a punnet if it's out of season. But then there would be a bag of apples, which would be $3. And I really wanted the raspberries, but I'd buy the apples because they were cheaper. So it was like I'd always, no matter what I wanted, I'd always be driven by what was the cost of something. So, and this again was because I was plugged into this collective consciousness of South Wales. I hadn't unplugged and plugged into Australia. And you can do this consciously, and I show people how to do it. I do it for clients. So again, you're looking constantly for the cheapest thing in the shop. Perhaps some of you can resonate with this that are watching this. And it doesn't have to be food. It can be clothing. If you're looking for airline tickets, you know, I mean, I've almost fallen into the trap myself, where you're trying to book an airline ticket. This is before borders and COVID and all this stuff, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going back now. And the temptation was, instead of booking a flight, which was at a good time, and perhaps would get me there in the shortest distance, it's like I'm looking at these really wonky connections and flying through these weird countries because those are cheaper flights. So instead of thinking, you know, my time is precious, I'd rather arrive at a decent time and not be tired, I'm being driven by price automatically, without thinking about it, looking for the cheapest thing I can find. Plugged into the collective consciousness of South Wales. This is where I grew up. This is how it begins to manifest itself in your life, and how you can alter this and you can change your perception around everything, which changes your life. Okay. So again, like I say, you're probably resonating with this because it's very common. Okay. Like I say, automatically, it doesn't matter where you're shopping, clothes shopping. Perhaps if you're a lady watching this, or somebody who likes to wear dresses, you go into a nice shop, you see a lovely dress that you want to buy. First thing you do, check the price tag. First thing, okay, and then instantly form an opinion, oh, that's too much, I don't want to spend that. Even though you really like the dress. And if you were to buy the dress, in 6 months' time, you'd forget the price tag. It wouldn't, the price tag in 6 months, or what you paid, you'd forget. You just appreciate the fact that you had a nice dress. But you don't think that way in the shop, do you? You go in, first thing, check the price tag, and then you're scanning around, finding something in a price bracket that you're happy to spend on. So probably it could be 50% of the cost of what you saw first. And even though you prefer the first dress, really prefer it, and you're not that keen on the second one, which is half the price, you'll choose the one which is half the price because you feel more comfortable spending that level of money because it's cheaper. Again, it's always a race to the bottom. Again, it's always trying to find the cheapest item that you can possibly find. Comes from scarcity, because you have this opinion and you think to yourself, oh God, it's all scarcity and lack. Where's the next dollar coming from? Oh, if I spend this, I won't have enough for this. And it's all scarcity. It's all perception, which is based upon the collective consciousness which you're plugged into. This is what it comes down to. And again, you know, like I've mentioned to you there, constant scarcity. Where's my next dollar coming from? Or behaving and acting in life as if literally the money that you've got in your bank account is the last time you're ever going to have any kind of income coming in, or there's never enough. There's never enough for you. You know, you've heard the saying, which is there's always too much month at the end of the money. Yeah, when people are on salaries, there's always too much month at the end of the money. You've got all these sayings which are, you know, inbuilt within society, which are designed to kind of keep us in this place of lack. We live in such an abundant world, you know. And again, being plugged into the wrong collective consciousness, let's say you're a business person or you're self-employed, perhaps you're providing services to people, right, at the moment. This is how it will manifest in your perceptions, okay? So in business, you'll be embarrassed to charge. You'll feel like constantly you'll have this urge to be the cheapest person on the market or the cheapest service on the market. You know, you're not comfortable to stand behind your pricing and know your value and go, okay, this is what I charge. And this is, you know, that's kind of, I'm comfortable standing behind that. Almost embarrassed to stand behind your pricing. Always feeling like you need to discount down. So, you know, or offer extras, overcompensate to clients. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, come and buy this. But, you know, when they maybe not try to negotiate, but when they start asking questions, it's like, oh, yeah, but if you buy, you can have this as well. Or I'll give you this as an extra. And it's always wanting to overcompensate. It's always a race to the bottom. I need to discount down. I need to be the cheapest on the market. So perhaps if you're a Reiki healer, or perhaps you are offering other services, doesn't have to be energetic. We've got lots of people from all different backgrounds on here, but you're offering a service in the marketplace that you know is good. It has to be good. Don't get me wrong. You know you're offering a good service, but even so, it's like checking your competitors on the market going, oh, okay, well, they're charging that. I need to be a bit cheaper than them. And that's literally a race to the bottom. And it comes from this perception that we have because we're plugged into a collective consciousness of a country that doesn't serve us. And we need to make sure we're plugged into the correct collective consciousness. I remember what I did is I do this for clients in one-to-one sessions. So I find out very, very quickly, if it's a money problem, I find out very, very quickly they're plugged into the wrong consciousness. Either what's happened is their ancestors, grandparents or parents have moved for economic reasons. So let's say, give you another example, Eastern Europe, historically quite poor under Soviet communism. Many countries, there was nothing in the shops. You look at Poland, for instance, and back under Soviet communism, all that was in the shops at some point, people were starving. All that was in shops at some point was ladies' tights and vinegar. Can you imagine a situation now where you are? If you're watching this in the States or Australia or wherever you're watching this, that you go down to the shops and all there is ladies' tights and vinegar. There were other situations where in Poland under Soviet communism, USSR, that you'd see people would see queues forming outside shops, and they wouldn't know what it was, but they'd know that something had turned up in the shop. So you just join the queue, and when you get to the counter, perhaps they had a left shoe, and you might laugh at this, but this is what people were living through in them times. It was really, really difficult. So perhaps there was a left shoe that people could get. So you'd buy the left shoe because next week perhaps they had the right shoe in, and you would have a pair. But you didn't know. So it was complete lack. People were starving, they couldn't feed themselves. And there's not just in Poland, this is in parts of South America, it's been the same, in parts of Europe, all around the world. It's not limited to one country, but people have left for economic conditions because they've lived under poverty, they've lived under economic conditions which were difficult for the family. So perhaps the ancestors, the grandparents decided to get on a boat, or perhaps they decided to move for economic reasons. Can't blame them. We would all do the same, right? In that situation, we live in such an abundant world now, and in 2021. But if you go back even sort of 3 decades in different parts of the world, it's very different, and it was very hard for people in those countries. So you can't blame people for wanting better lives. We all just want to have a better life, right? So perhaps it's the grandparents, perhaps the parents, perhaps it was you. So in my case, it was me. I grew up in South Wales, in the UK, economically very deprived. And I came over to Australia, probably not for financial reasons, but I came to Australia because I wanted a better climate. So the weather's better. I like the lifestyle over here. I came here backpacking, as many people do, in 2005, and I just fell in love with the country. It was amazing. I love the people, I love the weather, I love the lifestyle. It was just great. I had one of the best years of my life in 2005. I came backpacking. So I came across here. I'd always wanted to come across for sort of better climate, lifestyle, people. But even though I didn't come for economic reasons, me being plugged into the collective consciousness of South Wales, where I grew up, and what I was exposed to when I was growing up, controlled my perceptions around finances and around money. And I always, always looking for the cheapest thing. I would always even say, and I'd have to catch myself doing it, because people earn so much over here, salaries are just, Australia's got the highest minimum wage in the world and the best working conditions by far. If you're a worker over here in Australia and you've got a job, you're in employment, you've got a great work-life balance, you make fantastic income compared globally around the world, good work-life balance, great pension, lots and lots of great things. People have got good lives over here in that aspect. And, it's what I would, when it coming back to my perceptions around money, how that would manifest itself, I would constantly be converting from Australian dollars. Whatever I was buying over here, I'd constantly convert back to pounds sterling. And I'd be thinking, okay, well, what would I be paying? Oh, shavings, that's like way more than I would be constantly doing these mental arithmetic gymnastics in my mind. Whatever I was spending here in Australia would be converted in my mind instantly back to pounds sterling, and then comparing the prices to what I'd be paying. And I constantly feel like everything here didn't represent value for money for me. And because, everybody's rates over here are a lot higher, my old perceptions based on this collective consciousness I was plugged into would be along the lines of, I would never employ, and this is how unhealthy these perceptions are. My initial perception would be, and I'm being completely honest with you, I would never employ an Australian, because to me that doesn't represent value for money. Because it's way more than what I would pay somebody to do the same job back in South Wales where I grew up. This is how this perception is all twisted up. So what I had to do was I had to consciously uncouple from the collective consciousness of South Wales and connect consciously into the collective consciousness of Australia, because I live in Australia. I'm still from the UK, I'm still British. It doesn't take away from my history and where I've come from, but I live in Australia now. I make Australian dollars and I spend in Australian dollars. So it's healthy for me to be plugged into the collective consciousness of Australia, and that's what I did. And this is what I do for clients in these one-to-one sessions, help people in this regard. And what we do is when we consciously plug into the correct collective consciousness, shifts begin to happen really, really quickly for people, because people start to see the world very differently. People's perceptions around money change. All of a sudden, people begin to realize that actually I can stand behind my prices. Actually, it's okay to charge. Actually, I don't need to be the cheapest on the market. And when you go into shops, I don't need to look for the cheapest thing. And what happens is these blocks around abundance then begin to change. You need to appreciate, okay, every single day, there are trillions of dollars flying around the world in transactions. Trillions of dollars. Every single day, globally in transaction, there are trillions of dollars flying around the system every day. That's how much money there is floating around in the world. So, you know, how small is it to think that, goodness me, where's my next dollar coming from? Oh my goodness, I'm never going to see another dollar. Oh goodness me, I can't pay it. There are trillions on trillions of dollars flying around the system every single day. Just to give you a bit of context, okay, around this, and I'll give you some figures. In 2020, so just last year, over a 12-month period, the US Federal Reserve, it created $3 trillion of new currency. It created digitally $3 trillion of extra money. This is what the Fed has printed. And yes, a lot of that went into artificially inflating the stock market. A lot of that went into government bonds and derivatives. A lot of that went into bailing out companies and things like this. But it just goes to show how much money is in circulation. This is what I was going to say. This is why I'm illustrating the point. How much money is in circulation and flying around every single day. To give you an example of what 3 trillion is, 3 trillion is the same as 3,000 billion. This is what the US created in new currency last year, 3,000 billion. Or to break it down to the millions, that's $3 million. I'll say that again, 3 million million. So you got $1 million, they created 3 million of them. That's how much money additional on top of what was there. And it's not just the US, this is Australia, UK, European Central Bank, ECB, all over the world. Governments are just printing and printing and printing, trying to stimulate the economy after all these lockdowns and things like this. So there is more than enough flying around the system. You've just got to be comfortable standing up, sticking your hands in the air, making some of it stick. And we live in such a financially abundant world. I know there's a disparity between, you've got billionaires becoming richer and the poorest in society, and the gap is growing and all of this kind of stuff. I get that there's disparity, but what I'm saying is everybody in the middle, there's more than enough for everybody. There is more than enough for everybody. You just need to be plugged into the consciousness of a country which is actually serving you and not holding you back. So that's really important. Another area, okay, so this is the collective consciousness, that's one aspect. Another area of karma, for instance, which can be holding you back, is ancestral karma. So ancestral karma can be causing you problems around money, 100%. And what this is connected to, it goes back, it's like poverty or lack of money or whatever, going back through generations and with grandparents and all the rest of it. And what happens is it creates karma and it creates these ancestral patterns. And what then happens is you can be subject to these ancestral patterns around money. So if your grandparents have suffered and struggled around finances, which isn't uncommon, like I say, if we go back a few decades, a couple of generations, well, more than a couple of generations, because I'm 41, I'm speaking a couple of generations, but perhaps some of you are teenagers, or perhaps some of you in the early 20s, perhaps it's going back maybe 5 or 6 generations ago. You know, you're a bit younger than I am. Going back to just a few decades ago, life was very, very different. Life financially, depending where you were in the world, was hard. It was economically hard. It was difficult. It wasn't as abundant as it is nowadays. So it's quite common that people's ancestors have struggled financially. I look back and, my grandfather, he was a coal miner in South Wales. That man was my earliest hero. He was my hero. Like growing up, I've never known a harder working individual in my life. Like this guy used to pull two 12-hour shifts back to back. So he used to call them doublers, 24-hour shifts at a coal face underground on his hands and knees with a pickaxe. This is the working conditions that these people had. Unless if they were lucky enough that they had a job. Some people were farmers, they were into agriculture. Life was a lot different in those days. So it's really not uncommon that people's ancestors have struggled financially. So this can create generational patterns and has karma linked to it. Perhaps your parents struggled financially. Perhaps you have when you were younger. We've all got different stories. So how this can be fixed, okay, is basically we go somewhere called the Akashic Records. And you've probably heard me talk about the Akashic Records before. But the Akashic Records is a ledger, the Akashic realm. So the record, the compound of the records, is a ledger of everything your soul has been through. Everything your soul has experienced is retained and it's recorded at what's called the Akashic Records. Above the Akashic Records, you've got the karmic field of energy. And not all of your records have karma attached to it, but some of them do. And also you've got your ancestors' records and things which are up there. And if you've got ancestral karma, okay, in your karmic field around finances and around money, what we can do by going to the Akashic Records, we can identify where this karma is in the karmic field of energy. We acknowledge the field first, because if we don't, there's physical consequences. So there's a way and there's a method that we follow. So we follow the system, we follow the rules of working with it. We can neutralize the karma in the karmic field. And then what happens is we can then come down, okay, and we then work on our own energetic field, or I work for clients' energetic fields. You can work on your own. I can teach you how to do it. What you can then do, remove the distorted frequency, which is around money and perceptions around money, and then we rewire your energy field energetically. And what then happens is reality, matter, begins to change very, very quickly, very quickly. I've had clients that I've worked with or students that I've taught, and within a matter of days, their realities begin to shift. We do the correct energetic work in the correct way, and people's realities begin to change. We're talking about finances here and money, okay, in this particular live stream. But, in different live streams, it'll be in different areas of our lives. But in this one, it's around money. So I've had people contact me that I've done sessions with. I've taught people to read their own Akashic Records, work on the karmic field, and work on their own energy field. And within days of being taught and coached how to do this stuff, I'm just getting messages. Aeron, you won't believe this. Oh my God, I've got clients are ringing. I've got inquiries. People are happy to raise their prices. It just all then begins to flow. It's like, imagine with these energetic blocks and perceptions and stuff that you've got, it's like having a tap, a valve on a big gate valve on this big water pipe which is coming down. And the valve is turned off and there's just a trickle and just some drops. And the water coming out of this pipe is your income. That's your revenue or your salary or money you've got coming into your bank account, right? There's almost just like a trickle coming out of this. Now, when we do the correct energetic work, or you work on yourself, which I can coach you and teach you how to do, when you do that, it's almost like you turn on the valve. And what then happens is it just begins to flow. And it flows at different speeds, depending on what you've released, etc. But it begins to flow, and money isn't an issue. And, this one of the biggest stresses, which lowers people's vibration, is around money. Do you know that money is one of the biggest contributors to, or stress around money is one of the biggest contributors to divorce around the world? Did you know that? So, money, when you've got money, it's a good resource to have. Because what it is, money is energy. If you've got resources, you can do some great work in the world. You know, you can help animals, you can set up rescue centers, you could do whatever, you can do some real good with this. But on the other side of money, when there's a lack of it, or there's feelings of lack, it can cause stress, and a lot of stress, and often it can break up marriages, happy marriages otherwise. But money comes into things, and it causes stress and can fracture otherwise happy families. So this is how powerful this stuff is. This is how powerful these energetic techniques are, because you can literally, from a financial perspective, do the correct work energetically. You can create the life that you truly deserve here on earth in every single aspect. Today we're talking about money, but money is one aspect of it. There's many other aspects. There's health, there's your relationships, there's how you express yourself. And, you know, you completely step into flow. And, you know, rather than, can you imagine what that would be like? Being able to express yourself and being able to work, or whatever you do within the marketplace to generate income. Imagine being able to do that from a place of flow and what you actually love to do and what you enjoy, or rather than from the point, I need to do this because I've got this bill to pay. Oh God, how do I make this money? You're constantly coming from a place of pressure and stress and worry, thinking, oh shit, pardon my French, if I don't get another 5 clients, oh, I've got a car payment, oh, I've got the mortgage, oh, I've got this, I've got the kid, this bill. Working from a place where that's a factor, how stressful is that compared with the opposite, which you can 100% create by working energetically? Imagine a place where you're obviously taking aligned action and you're making the effort, because you don't rewire yourself and then or rewire your field, and then all of a sudden it's like, da-da, check the online banking, yeah, there's 20 grand in the bank account. Happy day. No, it doesn't just magically appear. You still have to do the effort. But once you put the correct effort in and there's nothing energetically standing in your way, it just begins to flow in. And then you've got more than enough and then some. There's always more than enough and then some. So therefore, all your needs are then met, and you can just work from a state of flow. And it's such a difference. You can 100%, you have access to change this within your lives. If you're feeling financially stressed or strained, or perhaps you're making good money, but you've still got this mentality where even though you've got money, you're still looking for the cheapest thing. You're going in there, like I said to you at the start of this, I'm going there and I'm looking at, oh, it's always the cheapest thing. Okay, what's the cheapest dress I can find? Or I really like that pair of jeans, but oh, goodness me, that's $100. Oh, but I really like them. But then, okay, I'm going to take the ones over there for $30 because it's cheaper. I don't like them as much, but yeah, I feel happier because I'm only spending 30 instead of 100. That's how it works. This is how the perception works. We can completely change this, and we can completely rewire it. And rewire your field, you completely rewire your life. That's just how it is, okay? So just like I say, to share with you what I've got coming up, okay? I've got, super exciting, on the 31st of May, I've got an Akashic online program, okay, which I'm going to be launching. I can't wait. I just want to share that with you, okay? It's going to be an advanced 4-week immersive course on teaching you on mastering your Akashic Records, all right? So we're going to not only master working with the Akashic Records, we're going to master working on the karmic field and rewiring your energetic field to create absolute abundance when it comes to finances, because you have the tools and the keys to be able to unlock that within your life. I'm going to show you how you can rewire yourself to turn that valve on, so you've then got a flow of income coming in. It's just beautiful. And you can work from flow, express yourself from flow rather than from a place of lack and worry, okay? So who's the 4-week program for? TikTok, I'm sorry you can't see. I'm sharing the screen with people on the Facebook Live. I can't share a screen on here, so you're just going to have to bear with me and just listen to I'm just going to describe the slide by slide, okay? So if I could share the screen with you, I would do, okay? So who's the 4-week program for? It's for anybody seeking to transform their physical reality and lives, certainly around finances, because we're talking about money here today, right? See this program I'm putting on, this 4-week program, as an investment, okay? Because this investment is going to unlock income streams that you never had, okay? Or It's going to completely transform your life when it comes to finances, which is, we're talking about finances today, right? So it's anybody seeking to transform their physical reality and life. It's for anybody who's established regular meditation practice, and anybody who is able to clear and elevate their consciousness. So if you can come to point zero, quieten your mind down, and come to point zero with your consciousness, I can work with you on this program, okay? And it's basically for anybody who wants to expand their spiritual skill sets and abilities. Perhaps you're already a practitioner, you really want to level up, and then perhaps in the future you can start to offer this as a service to clients. That would be an option for you, but it would be further down the line. You need to master your own first, but this would be the first stepping stone. So it's about leveling up your skill set and your abilities. So by the end of the week, 4-week program, what are you going to learn from it? What are you going to gain from it, right? So you're going to understand exactly what the Akashic Records are. You're going to know exactly how to access them with your consciousness, and how to work with the Akashic Records, how to work with the karmic field of energy, and how to rewire your energetic field based on all three. You're going to meet a race of beings called the Keepers, or the Guardians of the Akashic Records. Amazing race of beings. They reside up there. They keep order and balance to the force of the Akashic Records. Okay, so they're incredible. You get to meet them. Your consciousness is going to travel to the Akashic realm many times over the course of this program. I'm going to deep dive now into what's included in this program. You're going to know how to access your own records, how to work with the field, and how to transform your life, specifically around finances. Remember, we're talking about money today. So around your finances, it's going to completely transform your reality. You know, this is going to be a breakthrough for you. So the Akashic Records course, 8 sessions. So it's 8 sessions over 4 weeks. There's 4 theory modules, and there's 4 intense practical modules. Each module, there's 8 of them, remember, each of them lasts about an hour. Okay, so just I'm giving you a bit of context around the time investment that you need. It's starting on Monday, 31st of May, and it's running for 4 weeks, 8 live sessions, so two sessions a week, right? So week one, session 1 is the theory, basically understanding dimensions on the Akashic realm, how it's all put together, how it's represented to a consciousness. Just to give you some context around what that realm looks like, okay? Week 1, session 2, we're going to practice elevating your consciousness to access your Akashic Records. It's going to be fantastic. Week 2, session 3, that's the structure and structure of the complex and the role of the keepers. So this is to give you the theory. And again, all of these are going to be recorded and available to you in your Thinkific learning account. So you can consume this whenever you want. Week 2, session 4, you're going to access the records and meet the keepers. Okay, it's going to be really, really awesome. Week 3, session 5, theory, again, the relationship between the records and the karmic field of energy. Week 3, session 6 is again intense practice sessions, which is reading your records and accessing the karmic field of energy. Week 4, session 7 is working energetically with the Akashic Records, removing blocks and distortions in your field, right? Your energetic field. So this is how we learn to rewire our field and transform your life, right? And week 4, session 8, so again, 8 sessions, it's going to be intense practical, which is accessing the records and working energetically with the karmic field of energy and your own energetic field. So it's like a complete thing. So the Akashic Records course, again, you're going to learn how to access the records in a conscious, awakened state. So forget dream state. This is your awake, conscious, awakened state. I'm going to take your consciousness to the Akashic Records. I've done it many times with different students, people that I've worked with. I hold weekly lab sessions in our online membership. And I've taken people's consciousness to the Akashic Records. I can do that with you. I can show you exactly how to access the Akashic Records. There's practical guidance, obviously, on working with the records to free your life from karmic loops, energetic distortions, and blocks. And also, there's powerful activations to rewire your energy field.